Guys, this is the third in a series of shorter videos. I last did a video on eyebrows, how you can do cheap and easy eyebrows in 30 seconds, and this is the next one, and today I'm talking about blusher. There's a whole world of contouring out there at the moment, and it's really popular. I feel like the makeup industry is really focusing on contouring and eyebrows at the moment. Contouring is very much about the use of multiple products, not always multiple products, to sculpt and add shape to the face and had to add highlight and shadow where it is usually quite subtle. Blusher comes into contouring, but you can just use blusher on your own, and that's what I'm going to be doing today, is showing you how you can just put on a swish of blusher just to add a bit of warmth, a bit of a colour pop to the cheeks, and just to give your face a little bit more dimension without going into the full depths of contouring, which I appreciate can be quite intimidating to some people. They might see it out there and think, God, I can't touch that. That's too confusing for me. I have no idea what I'm doing with that, so I'm just not going to go near it. And I have felt like that about some things before as well. But I am going to be doing a video in the future about contouring, just to really break it down into its basics, and just to teach people how you can approach it in a really simple way, just to add a little bit of sculpture to the face, if that's what you want to do, but not to go over the top and make it really complicated like it can be. So today in my blusher video, I'm really enjoying this at the moment. It's a really nice, easygoing blush, and this is Rockateur by Benefit. I have had this for quite some time, well over a year now. And inside your Benefit products, they're really nicely presented. You actually have like a mirror in the top here, and you have like this little plastic tray that you can pull out, and it's got a little brush inside it. This is quite well used, but you can see the colour. It's got a slight shimmer to it, but it is a warm rose, I would call that. And I love it. It's a really nice, easygoing shade, and it would suit a lot of skin colours as well. Now this brush, let's go back to this brush. I do and I don't get on with this. You can see it's like a block shaped handle, and it's actually a flat brush with a curved top, and it's great. It certainly has its uses, and I have used it. As you can see, it's got some colour on it. I have used it for my Rockateur, but I don't always use it because I find it really big. So when you first touch it to the cheek, it might deposit more product than you want it to. So if I was going out in the evening, I would probably reach for this brush. But for day-to-day use, I've got another little friend here. So I prefer this because it's smaller, so I can control how much product is deposited onto the skin. And I like the fact that I can use this in a circular motion as well. Whereas this brush, being that it's flat, you kind of want to use it like this, and that's going to deposit a wide load of product, or you want to use it like this. I don't get on so well with using a circular motion with this, and circular motion generally tends to be how I apply my blusher. So I'm going to explain to you where to put your blusher and where I put my blusher. Now this is not an approach that I've ever heard somebody else talking about before, so I might have made this up all by myself. Please give me some feedback on this and let me know how this technique works for you. The technique that I use is I imagine the face in two shapes. So you've got the flat of the front of your face, and then you've got the flat of the side of your face. And where the flat at the side and the flat at the front meet, you would have a corner. Obviously our faces don't have corners, but imagine where that corner would be if your face was that shape. So where your flat front kind of meets your side, and where that meets is pretty much the location in terms of around here. You're going to be stopping at that point, and that's where you want to be putting your blusher. So if you did have those angles to your face, where that falls on your face naturally, that's about where you want to be applying your blusher. And in terms of how high or low you're going to put it, that all depends on where your cheekbone is. And this is called the zygomatic bone, and if you follow it along, it starts in front of the ear, and it actually runs along. You can just feel like the underneath of it, it's like a little ridge, and it hooks under, and you can follow it all the way along, and it actually curves up, and that's where you have like the apple of your cheek. Okay, so what you want to do in terms of finding out where your blusher goes best for you is find out where your bone is. All right. Now, somebody like Kylie Minogue has fantastic, oh, and Meryl Streep has amazing cheekbones. They both have fantastic zygomatic bones, and they're really nice and high, and they create a beautiful full apple to the cheek. So blusher must be a dream for those ladies, and I really admire their bone structure, because as they age, it's going to keep that part of their face really quite smooth and full looking, which is going to be quite youthful for them. So where you have your zygomatic bone, your cheekbone, you're actually going to be applying blusher on it. Okay, so it actually comes along in like a bar. So you need to kind of feel the top part of it and the bottom part of it, so you can judge that your bone is actually about this thick. Okay, so this is where mine is. It's about this thick. And I've just told you where to be placing your blusher in terms of left to right. Mine is going to be about here. And in terms of up to down, it's going to be right on top of that bone. So for me, it's about here. I hope I've explained that well enough for you to be able to apply that method to yourself. But obviously it changes depending on everybody's bone structure and face shape. But that tends to be a really fail-safe approach to locating the best place to put blusher on people. So cracking on with actually putting it on, I've got my Rockateur ready to go, and I'll show you how much product I actually pick up on the brush. And it's not very much, because to start off with, I go in very light, and then I just build it up depending on how strong I want it. So I just swirl, and then I just tap off the excess. It's going to be around about here for me, and I just very light pressure so that I can judge how much colour is coming off the brush. And I think you can see already there's quite a lot, so I very lightly pressed this into the compact. I wouldn't have picked up much at all, but this is quite a good pigmented product. And that's fantastic because it makes it economical as well. So I'm just going to work on that, and then I take a sort of a diagonal left and right approach sometimes, just because then I know how much product is depositing and I can have a little bit more confidence. So I work it in. It's really important that you end up using quite confident strokes, simply because you're then buffing it into the skin and you're setting it into the base that you've already created. If you just lightly dust it on top, it's probably going to transfer onto things during the day, and then it's not going to last you. So I find softly to start with, so that you can judge the amount of colour that you're transferring onto the face, and then once you've judged that, you can then go in with a little bit more confidence. Now, that might not look very strong to you, but that is almost all I use for a daily basis. I might add to it just a tiny bit. So I'm going to load up my brush again for my second cheek. And on this cheek, my face is more or less symmetrical in terms of bone structure, so I know that pretty much the same place on this side is where I apply my blusher as well. So very light circles. And you can actually see it, the light is better on this side of my face, you can see it a bit better. And then I do a little bit of swishing. You might notice that I am dragging backwards just a little bit, and that's just so that I don't have a big old circle of blusher in my cheek, because that's not natural. When we flush, when we blush, it kind of dapples all over, and you want it to look as natural as possible. I have seen people where they have clearly just gone like this and they have almost a perfect circle of blusher, and it just, it makes me itch. But there we go. Okay, so you can see I'm just using the excess on the brush to actually build up this cheek a little bit more, because I feel like the other cheek has come out a little bit stronger. Okay, I have already got my highlighter on, and I did use it on the top of the brow bone, because in my previous video I mentioned to you that I always use the excess on the brush and I just dust it everywhere else. So that is as much as I do in terms of contouring. I don't use bronzer unless it's summertime. I could do, there's no rules against it, but I just don't tend to, because it's just one of those steps that I think I'm passable without it. You know, I can walk out the door and feel confident enough without putting it on. So if I can get away with it, then I don't tend to do it, because I just don't have the time in the mornings. And if I can do my makeup this much on a day and still achieve everything else and give my girls the time that they need from me, then I feel like I'm on to a winner. So I don't want to push my luck and add too many steps into my routine. I think I've probably gone off on quite a few little tangents there. I am going to be doing a video in the future, and that's going to be on contouring. So as I mentioned earlier, I promise I will do one on contouring, but I'm going to do a very simple approach to it because I don't want people to be mystified by things and feel like makeup is an intimidating, complicated, time-consuming, expensive process that they don't really want to attempt too much. I want makeup to feel like it is approachable and something that everybody can have access to. So I hope that's helped. I hope my sort of method of judging where to apply your blush is helpful. I do find it works for everybody that I have used it with, but do feel free to tell me if it doesn't work for you, or perhaps maybe you have another technique that you use that you feel works really well. All comments, suggestions, feedback are all welcome. Please pop them underneath. And I always personally reply to everything as well. So thanks for watching. I hope that's helpful. If you like my videos, then feel free to subscribe. I hope you're all well. Look forward to seeing you at the next video, virtually seeing you. Enjoy yourselves, take care, and I'll see you next time.